Hello, and come join us in our, not a review, but our Overlord discussion. The way we like to do things here at 10 Minute Takes is that we like to give a recommendation in the intro, and then from that recommendation, we like to ask each other a series of questions about why we gave it the recommendation that we did and try to get into the nitty-gritty of the film. So, with that said, Sam, are you ready to give our recommendation for Overlord?
I am.
Okay. So, 3, 2, 1, see it. I'm surprised you gave it a see it.
I knew you would be.
I was iffy on this film going into it because I didn't know what to think from the trailers. But as soon as we got the opening title cards, and we'll get into it. We will get into it. It's okay.
Whatever.
Welcome to the show. This is 10 Minute Takes. So you ready to talk about this? Ready to get into the conversation? You got to start asking me some stuff.
Wait, are you going to talk about what the film's about? Oh,
you got to ask me though.
I thought you were fist pumping me. Go. Good luck.
That's going in. This is all going in.
You don't have to keep telling me what's going in. Just edit it. I just watched it.
It's already edited. I already got it.
Okay. So, all right. So this film was a little bit strange. Well, okay. Sorry.
You got a question. You need to ask me.
I do have a question, but I'm trying to
Ask me.
Okay, don't do that. That's weird.
Me. Sorry.
It's like you're doing like a weird poll. Okay, how would you describe this film? Because I would not be able to put a sentence in form to figure out how to tell this film without giving anything away. So how would you describe this?
Oh man, what is Overlord? How do you describe this to somebody that
Your face
doesn't
is kind of saying it all. You're just like,
doesn't know what Overlord is. So here's the thing. As soon as we got the opening title for Overlord, I knew what kind of film we were getting into. What Overlord is that not everyone's going to get this reference, and that's okay. I'll get into what this means. But Overlord to me is an exploitation film. Now, exploitation films are films that are from the 60s and 70s, which is, so when you say the opening title, it looked like a retro 60s, 50s, 60s, and I believe they're doing that to try to pay homage. So it's in World War II.
Okay, well, I went into the film.
No. Hang on. So exploitation films are from the 60s and 70s, and they played in things called grindhouse theaters. Grindhouse theaters, you'd pay for one ticket, you would get like 2 or 3 films, and what exploitation films were is that very cheap, low-budget films that exploited one aspect of a film. Usually they were hyper-violent. So you'd go to a film, you would go to a grindhouse, you would pay for a ticket for a grindhouse theater, watch 3 incredibly hyper-violent films that were super cheap. They were badly acted, badly directed, but you went there to see violence.
Wait, but I didn't think it was badly acted. Okay.
No, it's not. This Overlord is, for me, it's an exploitation film in an A-film body. This is a film that doesn't waste its time, and to me, the way the film plays, like where it starts to where it ends, especially it's the ending of the film where it really hit home for me that I was watching sort of an exploitation, sort of this like fantasy, sci-fi exploitation World War II film with like where they went with it. This film is graphic, it's violent, it is, if you want blood and gore, this film's got it. It's got some pretty gnarly images. And it very much reminded me like an A version of Planet Terror, which Planet Terror is a film that was actually one half of a larger film called Grindhouse that Robert Rodriguez and Quentin Tarantino did something like almost, I want to say 10 years ago. And they actually did a homage to the whole era of Grindhouse cinema. And J.J. Abrams is a filmmaker that likes to pay homage to different eras of cinema. And so J.J. Abrams didn't direct this, but he produced it. And so J.J. Abrams, he produced Cloverfield. Cloverfield was a love letter to giant monster movies. J.J. Abrams did Star Trek. He did Star Wars. Star Wars was essentially a remake. Force Awakens was essentially like a soft reboot remake of the original Star Wars movie. A lot of people didn't like it. Some people did like it. I actually really liked it. And now I feel like Overlord is a film that he produced is a love letter to grindhouse exploitation films of the 60s and 70s that you went to a theater to see a crazy scenario with crazy violence. And they delivered that. And it gets kind of, I would say, cartoony towards the end. And I actually...
It gets very bizarre.
And I liked that aspect. I got fully on board because you're talking to the guy that likes, movies like The Relic, Mimic, Cloverfields.
I like Cloverfield.
Cloverfield's probably the most liked of those films, but like Mimic, Relic, 90s films, 90 monster films people don't really like. I feel like Overlord kind of falls into like that category of like, it's got a better production than those films, but it has a cheese-like factor that those films have that I personally like a lot. So you had a lot of stuff that you wanted to say.
I know, it was like in the beginning of what you were saying.
I know, you got it. What do you want to say? Say it.
Now I don't remember. Don't put me on the spot like that. I mean, like, all of the things that I want to say, I don't know if I can say because I don't know if it's going to be spoiler territory because...
Hopefully you've seen this film and you're here for the discussion and you want to join in the talk. So we're going to talk some spoiler stuff right here. All right,
okay,
so just fair warning, spoiler talks, Sam's talking
you're
spoilers.
So good at interrupting me.
Sorry.
You're very good at it today.
Sorry.
Normally, I'm the one interrupting you, so this is a nice... Now I know how you feel.
Oh.
So, I think we're good. No, I wanted to talk about... Is this even a zombie film? Like, I don't understand. Because...
I would make the argument that no, it's not.
Okay, because I went into the film with the trailers. I thought the trailers were very vague.
Yeah, they were kind of...
But I still took away from the trailers that they... were going to be... I thought it was going to be a zombie film.
That's what I thought.
But as it got on, I was like, this can't be a zombie film because nobody's actually being hurt by the virus.
Yeah,
like you can't get the virus and bite somebody and they turned into something. So I knew then that it's not a zombie film, but I really went into this thinking it was a zombie film. And I have to say that the beginning of the movie all the way to the climax really got me into the film. And I understand what you're saying. I am surprised that I actually really enjoyed this. I don't think I would enjoy all of the films that you're talking about because I'm sure you have made me sit through them and they're not even memorable to me, so yeah, obviously
I think I've sat down and watched The Relic with you. It takes place in a Chicago museum with some monster that gets transported here from Africa.
The giant cockroach one?
No, that's Mimic.
Oh, see, I remember something.
Okay.
I'm excited. But I just thought that the very end when they're going through all of their sprees, I thought that was really cool. So I did really like that. But I didn't understand how like some of them were nice and some of them weren't. So like I took away from the film that whatever that scientists gave to the people, it affected them almost like their personality. Because like the grandma was like totally fine to be around, but then other people weren't.
Yeah, I feel like the film was super inconsistent with whatever this
I didn't
serum
understand
was.
what the shot that they was giving people, like what was its effect supposed to be?
Well, what it was supposed to be was that there's trying to make super soldiers for the Nazis.
Right, that's what I was taking away from it.
So they
almost
wanted
like Captain America style.
Yeah, I mean exactly is what there is. It's essentially the twisted version of Captain America.
Except like everything just had gone wrong, and they were using this village to get people to try and put them in. And I thought that was interesting. I thought it was actually kind of cool.
Which part? The whole serum stuff? Like
yeah, but if I had known that that's what it was about, I think I would have been able to understand it more instead of thinking that it was like the entire, even like walking out of the movie, I kind of thought that it was supposed to be zombie, and still I started putting all those pieces together and being like, but no, because there wasn't a virus and it wasn't that the person was biting people and they became a zombie.
Yeah.
So it definitely wasn't.
No, it's not a zombie film. I'd say it's a monster film.
But how is it? It's a human monster film? Like, is that a thing?
Like you inject yourself. And so here's the thing. Like what I talk about with the end, that when it like really became for me like an exploitation film, you go there for the violence, is like, again, spoilers for the end if you haven't seen this film. But the one Nazi injects himself with the serum and he becomes like the super soldier guy and he's like, oh, I'm like invincible now. And then when he's fighting the American soldiers, the one guy's like, I have to fight fire with fire. And this is like the moment where it gets kind of cheesy. Like he injects himself with the serum and then they have like a super serum soldier beat down in the laboratory between the two of them.
Yeah.
And it's like it was almost like they created the Hulk, like an evil Hulk for the Nazis, and then they created a human Hulk for the American soldiers to fight the bad Hulk. But they didn't change. They don't physically change like that, though. They just get super strong. So it's essentially just
they don't like get buff and green.
No, they just get like veins and stuff that go.
There's
and they
no Hulk in this film.
Yeah. So that to me is like when it got kind of cheesy, but I liked the cheese they were serving me. So there's certain cheesy that I was like, oh, that's
cheese.
Yeah.
To watch, you need wine and cheese to watch this movie. No wine, just the cheese.
No, I say this is like Wisconsin, like cheddar cheese movie. It's
PBR,
I think it's particular
PBR and cheese.
Yeah, this isn't like high end like wine and cheese. This is like Wisconsin.
I thought it was actually pretty.
It's well produced, 100% well
I
produced.
thought visually it looked decent. I didn't think that
great.
it was cheap.
Oh no! I was just saying the actual like where the story went, how they brought in the mutations and stuff like that. The end where it's like, oh, we're gonna have a super soldier smackdown with like our monsters. That like, it got cheesy at the end. It's not going to be to everyone's taste. I like that stuff.
You know what? I'm very surprised that I took away from the film that I did like it. I will say that
it's not going to be everyone's.
I could branch out and do. I know we're interrupting each other, but we all have a lot to say. You know. I will say that I will plan to give these films a little bit more of a chance.
Now, this film is. I do think this film is for a niche audience. There's people walking out of the theater that hated this film.
Oh, really?
There was one person in front of us, or a couple of people like, that was the stupidest movie I've ever seen.
That's right. He did say that. I remember that.
No, the one girl. It was like a guy and a girl. It looked like it was a brother and a sister walking out of the theater. And she was like, what was that? That was so stupid. Why did I watch that? People weren't feeling it walking out of the theater. I was feeling it. I thought it was a lot of fun. I knew exactly what it was and what it was doing, and it went there full bore.
Yeah, it was interesting. It was actually very interesting.
Now, real quick, I'm going to try and do this as fast as we can because we're already running long on the show.
But I think there's a lot we can cut.
Do you feel like you covered things that you liked about the film?
The girl was pretty badass when she started killing all the Germans.
Oh, yeah, she was badass.
She was really cool.
There was one particular thing that I want to
Yeah, I'm good.
You're good with the things you like. So my favorite aspect about this film, outside of the exploitation gore fest that this turned into at the end, is that I love that this film takes place entirely behind enemy lines. So from the beginning of the film to the end of the film, you are in Germany.
Oh, yeah.
So you don't start off at an American camp. You are in the air over Germany, and the whole film, and... Oh, go ahead.
I loved the beginning.
Oh, the airplane sequence?
The first 20 minutes of the film...
Super intense.
...was intense. And yeah. I don't think I mentioned this earlier, but I really liked the intenseness that went all the way from the beginning to the climax of the movie, where they discover the camp, I guess it would be called. And the first 10-20 minutes was great.
The first 20 minutes is just a really good war film.
And I think that's why I liked it, because I like my war films. So I'm wondering if that was why it almost reminded me of Dunkirk almost. There wasn't a lot of dialogue. It was a lot of action sequence in that respect. Not artistically. Not artistically, but the quietness and the intensity that you were feeling, and then all of a sudden you hit the ground, and then you hit the ground and you go on running with the rest of the film. The first 20 minutes was just kind of, you were at the edge of your seat and you were like, what's going to happen?
Yeah. It was super well done. And so having the entire film take place behind enemy lines, I felt like heightened the drama, heightened the tension, and made this pretty much airtight from beginning to end, which I really, really liked. They didn't waste any time getting this started, which to me, again, lends itself to the exploitation aspect of this film. The other thing that I liked a lot is that it's a young cast, and one of the lead actors in it is Kurt Russell's son, and it's nice seeing Kurt Russell's son branching out beyond the comedies and doing a film in the vein that like his dad used to do.
Right. I mean, I understand why it's a young cast in World War II.
Oh yeah, it's World War II. They all got young.
All of the soldiers were, 19, 20 years old. So that I get.
But I feel like Kurt Russell's son was able to channel a little bit of Kurt Russell in his performance here without feeling cheesy doing it without being like, oh, I'm just watching Kurt Russell's son do an impression of Kurt Russell. Like I was watching a kid act and I was like reminiscent of Kurt Russell. He's one of my favorite actors from the 80s.
He looked so familiar and I couldn't figure out why until you said that like 30 minutes ago. I was like, oh,
yeah,
that's why.
Yeah, he actually looks like him in this movie too. Like if you go back and you look at like The Thing
like
or
a
Escape from
blonder
New York,
version, though.
yeah, but they actually kind of look similar. The only thing that's really like the major difference is that they don't sound the same. I will say there was one thing that I disliked about the film. We talked about it earlier, but it's the fact that there is no consistency with what the serum does to people. That was my one issue. It was kind of confusing.
That's what I mean. Right, that's what I was trying to say. Is I'm wondering if the serum actually has something to do with like the personality of the person. It's almost like you had to be mean to be able to like. You almost had to take the serum when you were angry to get the effect that they were trying to get. I mean, giving it to a 90-year-old grandma.
Well, they've also said like when that one evil Nazi took it, he's like, we haven't tested it on live people, but like everyone you see is alive.
Yeah, but they were different colors of serums. If you look closely, there were like 3 or 4 different colors of serum. So
oh, okay.
The one that I think he picked up in particular just happened to be a serum that they hadn't tried on people, and I think that's why he was like aggressive as it. Thank you.
Good point.
Thank you.
So, I mean, that's just stuff I wish they would have been a little bit more clear on in the film. But again, I just think with the kind of film it was, they didn't need to be. But it did leave me a little perplexed. Mm-hmm. Okay. So, that's it for me. Is that it for you?
That's it for me.
All right, that's it for us. This was our, not a review, but a Overlord discussion. Matt's a tongue twister. It gets me sometimes. So if you like this video, like and subscribe if you'd like to see more. We got more coming. We have the Grinch next, and we just did the Girl in Spider's Web.
Comment below.
Yep, hopefully you followed along in the discussion with us, talking about the things that we're talking about.
We love interacting with people, so if you comment below, we will respond.
Okay, so with that said, see you guys next time. Hope you enjoyed the show.
Grinch,
have a good day.
Grinch, 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 Grinch. Pew, pew, pew.